So this is the week we all been waiting for. The Washington football team takes on the NFC East champs, Philadelphia Eagles, in a week 1 matchup. What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast. If you are new to the channel and love talking Philly sports every single day, go right ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on post notifications so you know when I go live or drop some content. On that note, if you believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will beat the Washington football team to start the season 1-0, smash that like button. With all that being said, let's get into the Eagles versus football team matchup. As we all know, the Philadelphia Eagles open up this season at home in the Link, where normally it's crazy, loud, and rocking. But in 2020, we will not get that because of the pandemic. Now, there are teams across the league facing the same problems, but the Eagles are different at the Link when it comes to the third down defense. If you have been there, you definitely know how loud and how crazy and how it helps the Eagles. However, we won't have that. Other teams will be facing the same problem, and we cannot let that get in our way week 1 against the Washington football team. Now, as the 2020 season is so unknown, there's a lot of things that we still do know. Let's look at some of the things we know about the Washington football team because they are bringing some of the same players back. So let's get into some of the numbers. Let's start with the Washington football team. They ranked 30th in the NFL when it comes to the pass in 2019, giving up a passer rating allowed by the opposing quarterback of 102.5. Only 5 teams in the NFL gave a passer rating up above 100, and the Washington football team was one of them. When it comes to completion percentages against their defense, they allowed 68% of the passes completed, and passing touchdowns against them was 35. Now, when you look at the Eagles in 2019, they ranked 19th in the NFL, giving up a passer rating of 90.8 when it comes to opposing quarterbacks. The completion percentage allowed against the secondary was 60%, and passing touchdowns was only 27. Both of these teams needed to upgrade their secondary, but we all see that the Washington football team's secondary was much more worse than the Philadelphia Eagles. Our biggest problem was the big play. We were pretty good on the short and intermediate routes. It was the big play where, if you look at it, we're one of the worst defenses in the NFL, allowing 40-plus yard catches. And how did we change that up? We went out and signed Big Play Slay, where what did the Washington football team do? They go out and cut Josh Norman and sign Ronald Darby. Like, really? Now, I will give them credit. They brought in Kendall Fuller from the Chiefs, used to play for the Washington football team, went to the Chiefs, won a Super Bowl, now back with the Washington football team, but they're going to use him out of position. He's a slot or a safety, not an outside corner. So their secondary is still weak, where ours got better because the big play was what we needed to stop, and we went out and got Big Play Slay. As for the run defense, the Washington football team ranked 31st in the NFL when it came to the run. The only team that ranked worse was the Cincinnati Bengals. And when you look at the yards per game, they allowed 146.2 yards per game. And when you look at yards per carry, it was 4.7 yards per carry allowed. Now, the Eagles ranked 4th in the NFL, giving up only 90.1 yards per game. And when it comes to yards per carry, only allowing 4.1 because we did get beat on some big runs, but for the most part, the run defense was dominant. When you look at the defensive line for the Washington football team, these guys want to rush the passer. Now, last year they had the same guys on this line minus Chase Young, who is a great pass rusher, but I don't see him coming in here and changing the whole lifestyle against the run where they ranked 31st. So, if we remember, last time Miles Sanders went against the Washington football team, he ran all over them. Let's look at that. 19 carries for 122 yards, 6.4 average, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown against the Washington football team. So we want to come out and stop this pass rush to help our offensive line, who didn't have much time to gel. Luckily, JP went over to left tackle. It looks like Lane Johnson will play at right tackle so we can keep Matt Pryor at right guard, and we got Jason Kelce and Isaac Seumalo. So it's still a pretty good offensive line. But going against this defensive line, we want to help them out. So how do we do that? One, we let the running backs and tight ends chip, especially when we're in 12-man personnel. We do some motions to see what their defense looks like, if they're blitzing, if they're not. We also can run screens to the tight end, to the running back, HB draws, jet motions, all that good stuff. But the traditional way to stop the pass rush, run the ball successfully, run the ball a good amount of times, because guys like Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen can't pin their ears back and go right for the quarterback. They got to worry about the A gap and B gap and filling these so Miles Sanders don't get his. So run the ball successfully, which I think the Eagles need to implement more runs. Sometimes we get pass heavy, having Carson Wentz drop back 50 times, almost 60 times. We can't have that in 2020. We need a balanced dose of run, pass, and with a guy like Rich Scanganello who wants to roll the pocket, I think that's going to open stuff for play action and a lot of good stuff. But now that we know the numbers, let's talk about some of these unknowns, which is the coaching staff for the Washington football team, having a new head coach in Ron Rivera, a new D coordinator in Jack Del Rio, and a new offensive coordinator in Scott Turner, who came from Carolina with Ron Rivera. Let's talk about the defense first. One thing is they're switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So how that will affect some of their players, a guy like Ryan Kerrigan, who's in a rotation for defensive end, he used to be a stand-up linebacker, pass rusher. Now he has to be a traditional defensive end. We'll see how that works. Another guy, Jonathan Allen, who's used to playing the 4 and 5 technique, now has to play a 3 technique. So I wonder how these guys go about that. I'm always worried about a 4-3 pass rush rather than a 3-4 pass rush, but we'll see where it goes. Now, on the other hand, Scott Turner, who came from Carolina, what does he like to do? He's all about window dressing before the play. A lot of pre-snap motions from tight ends to receivers, but really the running back. Now, he had Christian McCaffrey as a running back. Maybe that's why he did it mainly with the running back. But J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson are both running backs who can play in the slot. If you look here, this is what he liked to do with Christian McCaffrey. Scott Turner, as the offensive coordinator, got McCaffrey lined up in the slot against a linebacker. We're going to need a corner or safety there. He's going to fake a curl route. Watch. Look at all that space in the middle, though. He got his attention, but he's going to fake the curl route and cut it upfield for an easy catch. Gibson or J.D. McKissic can do it. So we got to watch that with our linebackers. Maybe sometimes use a corner or a safety on these guys if they spread them out and put these guys in the slot. However, the defensive line has to eat. When you look at the right side of the Washington football team, it's pretty good. A guy like Brandon Sheriff, who's over there, a great right guard. Their right tackle is not too bad, but their left guard and left tackle are not that good. They're young players. Wes Martin, Jerron Christian Sr., these guys can be taken advantage of. And the Eagles' defensive line in camp has been balling out, and it's time to show it against the Washington football team. Dwayne Haskins ain't that much of a mobile quarterback. Now, he will run on you. We saw it last year where he ran for a 20-yard big gain on us, but he wants to just move around in the pocket and stay back there and make the throw. Now, Scott Turner's all about getting these throws out early, quick timing throws. So we just got to pay attention to that, because if the D-line does its job, guys like Nickel Roby-Coleman and Big Play Slay can jump the routes knowing the ball's going to come out quick, and that's how you get some turnovers. Now, let's switch it to the Eagles offense, where we haven't had a guy like Deshaun Jackson in a while, and we saw firsthand in the first week against the Washington football team how D-Jax impacts a game. Now, we did have Alshon Jeffrey, which we won't have, but Jalen Reagor is practicing, so maybe he gives it a go. If I'm the Eagles, it's a long season. I don't want to waste them trying to bring them back too early. I think J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Deshaun Jackson, Greg Ward Jr., and John Hightower can get the job done in this game, especially when you sprinkle in Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, who we'll talk about his contract another day. But Deshaun Jackson is the main key. Not only can he get open himself, but attention from the safeties is going to open the middle up, where the Eagles haven't seen an open middle since 2018, really, to be honest. And even there, it wasn't that open. It's going to be wide open. We really need him to stay healthy. But let's look at what Djax did in week 1 against the Washington football team. And it's not even that deep ball. Look what he does even in the short and intermediate. DeSean Jackson is just going to run in 10 and out, but he starts to bail out to stop the deep ball, turns his hips, and Djax gets an easy completion to the outside. Here you got DeSean in the slot. He's going to motion to the opposite side of the field, and he sees he draws the defender. But here's the key. The defender never gets fully over, leaving him leverage to the outside. DeSean being a smart player, he's going to run quickly to the outside, breaking off, getting an easy completion, knowing the defender can't get there. Here, you got DeSean Jackson in man-to-man with not much help over the top. Now, they already got beat deep, so when DeSean Jackson comes out of his route, and he turns on the jets, the guy is so scared that he's going to get beat deep. He starts to bail and starts sprinting down the field, and Djax comes back with a curl. And it's too easy for a guy like him with that speed, and he ducks the coverage, taking a smart tackle, which we need to stay healthy. Lastly, this was when he was on the Bucs, but Ronald Darby, we need to attack him this way. Djax is going to run a go, but he runs it smartly by staying inside the hash. So when Fitzpatrick throws it up there, he has a spot that he can fall back and catch the ball and gives him a good window to the outside. But look at Darby, just can't track a ball, and he's like, what happened? As you can see in that last clip, DeSean Jackson was a Buccaneer going against Ronald Darby, who was a Philadelphia Eagle, and we got to treat Ronald Darby the same way the other 31 teams treated him when he was an Eagle, and that is attack him deep. Simple and plain. Attack him deep, use Miles Sanders in the run game and the pass game, and eat with the tight ends across the middle. Now, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is probably going to get a lot of one-on-ones. Throw it up to him, see what he can do. John Hightower sprinkles in with Greg Ward Jr. across the middle. The field will be open because of Djax. We just need him to stay healthy. That's one thing I want to talk about. With no preseason, with no offseason, these guys could get tired early. Use them wisely. Also, if a mistake is made on offense or defense, the coaching staff has to get these guys together to get back out there. One miscue could easily happen. I believe we'll see him blowing assignments and miscues all across the league in the first 3 weeks because of the lack of grass time. Now, it's going to happen to everyone, so don't hang your head down. Go out there, clean up, and play football. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm play action, running the ball, and getting deep with DeSean Jackson and utilizing the middle of the field because it's going to be more open than it ever has been. I did forget to address Terry McLaurin on the offensive side of the ball for the Washington football team. Jim Schwartz big play slay on him the whole game. He's not going to shut him down to 0 catches, but he will not have a 2019 week 1 or week 13 against us if big play slay is on him. With all that being said, let me know all your thoughts about the games in the comment section, what we should do, the score prediction, because it's now time for my score prediction where I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning 28-17. Yes, 28-17 Philadelphia. We start 1-0. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, you know what time it is. We out.